we have 3 tracks in addition to the business analytics track. One is called the AI track, and this might be a track of interest to those of you who are particularly interested in the development of AI algorithms and in particular how it is actually applied. So we have a very special course that is not quite there in most of other MSBA programs called network analytics. So if you think about network analytics and if you think about the data that you use to do traditional AI ML, mostly we assume that each data point is kind of an independent observation of some phenomena. But we know that most actions and things we observe, they're all connected in some fashion. And your network analytics is a course especially designed to address that particular issue. For example, you want to know who is the person that is that has the most influence in an advertising network, such that if Procter & Gamble comes up with a new product, then who they should actually offer money to, right? And you can actually look at the amount of influence. So your network-based course that is able to understand not only linearly how supply chains work, but it can be applied to understand what does a supply network look like? What does a supply chain constellation look like? And so essentially what we are talking about is a course that takes you to the next level. And I can tell you many industries are not quite up there to employ these techniques, but this is the direction in which we are moving as the data and the data integrity in these firms as they are all getting better. So network analytics is a very unique course that is part or that is recommended and suggested for our AI track. And then especially we have a course called Deep Learning and Reinforcement Learning. And this course is especially developed as we launch the AI track, which is one of the first tracks that we launched. And this course gets deep into various aspects of not only neural nets, which you would have been exposed to in one of the courses in the previous semester, but also much more deeper into how do algorithms learn by themselves, right? Because normally when we are thinking about traditional algorithms, you have some training data, you have some validation data, and you continuously refine this algorithm so that it produces results that is of great interest. Now, deep learning and reinforcement learning and these kinds of algorithms have the ability to make the algorithm learn by itself. And these courses cover those very deep and important AI topics. And you will also learn throughout the program, and particularly in the machine learning at scale and the AI, the deep learning and reinforcement learning courses, you will also be exposed to something called NLP, which is natural language processing. And natural language processing forms the core of many things that you see today, including what we call large language models and generative AI. Natural language processing is because computers don't understand English. They understand how, whether you code it so that it can be converted to some kind of binary that executes. So when people speak, they speak English, they don't speak in code. So how do you transfer or how do you analyze that data so that you can make meaningful analysis out of that? That forms the core of natural language processing. And large language models and some of the generative AI you see is in addition to that framework of AI I talked about with the predictive and the descriptive and the prescriptive analytics. Generative AI, in my mind, is a non-linear change. It has become a fundamental game changer. And that's because generative AI is not only about understanding and predicting and recommending things from the data that exists, but it is actually about creating content based on these AI and ML algorithms that never existed in the first place.